Take a look inside my head. I try to patch the wound, but it keeps on coming back.
Holy cow, Jason, that pre-roll goes super fast when we do it short like that.
I know, man. Just like we're ready to go.
Good afternoon, chat. Good afternoon, Jason.
Good afternoon, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Chat, you'll recognize that Jason and I are here on not a Tuesday. Not a Thursday earlier in the day, but a late. We are 100% YOLOing. Like, this is why I love streaming with you, Jason, is because you are completely cool YOLOing it, and that's like exactly the right streamer mentality to have. Let's just YOLO. Let's just throw the content out there.
Let's do it live.
So real quick, chat. You guys know that I give Jason a hard time over his Tesla.
I was gonna bring this up.
See, this is how I take your power away, is I'll bring it up for you.
Oh, yeah.
Jason informed me the other day. So let's be fair to Jason. I give him shit for Tesla, and I had actually never sat down and looked at the Tesla's website to build a Tesla out until 2 days ago, something like that. 2 days ago, yeah. And I was incredibly disappointed, Jason, as I knew I would be.
Oh, yes.
At the sheer lack of customizations. Like it's like one flavor. It's not even Baskin Robbins. It's like Good Berries, one flavor. That's it. That's all you get.
But everything's already included. I mean, what else would you want? I mean, sweet rims are included. air conditioning's already included.
Those rims look
power
like they
windows.
belong. Those rims look like they belong in the air conditioning unit of a manufacturing plant.
Come on.
I mean, am I wrong?
They are increasing the efficiency while you drive down the highway at 85 miles an hour by 4%. You know.
So anyway,
but let's also be fair. You have never test drove. A Tesla. So
I have never test drove a Tesla.
You are judging the book by the cover here, my friend.
I'm definitely judging the book by the cover because I have to look at that cover and ask myself, do I want to be seen in that book?
and you know the answer is yes. I mean, it's like
Jason informed me the other day, and I don't know if you knew this, Chad, if you're as into Teslas as Jason is, you can have a Tesla, you can test drive a Tesla for 48 hours.
Yeah. Take it home, show it to, your wife, your spouse,
Am I going to get, is it going to get keyed if I take it home? Am I responsible if it gets keys? If it gets keyed?
It's crazy though. Like that right there is just crazy to me. You don't see people out keying like Mercedes-Benz or, Volvos or whatever else, but just, that they've targeted Tesla, But it's really bad. It is every way wrong because they're then, protesting Tesla out in front of business, the Tesla showrooms. They're throwing bombs into the showrooms. I mean, like, it's crazy.
So Chad, here's what Jason is encouraging me to do for content. He's encouraging me to be intentionally unsafe and venture into the war zone of anti-Tesla protest and test drive a Tesla for 48 hours.
I think you should do it. I think you should grab the camera. You should go out, record you driving a Tesla. And I think, once you get in and test drive it around for the day or two, I think you'll change your opinion of it.
All right, Chad. All right. If you agree, put in chat, drop it in chat if you agree or disagree with Mr. Miller here about a live Tesla test drive here on Cyber Insecurity and get my thoughts on a Tesla test drive. And if you got any recommendations on what I should test drive, let me know. Because, of the four models, they all look exactly the same. It's like a battery in a box.
Come on, you got the S, the 3, the X, and the Y, And
is he just going to go on the other side of the alphabet and make an A and a B and a C and a D and an E and an F and all the way down?
That is TBD.
So the public wants to know, Jason, as the Tesla lover you are, how much are battery replacements for Tesla?
Well, see, battery replacements, there's only been a handful of batteries that have been replaced in those cars. The speculation is they're somewhere around $7,000 to $10,000, just depending on the model and size and so forth. But the batteries are lasting their period in which they expect to last is 10 to 15 years.
Wow.
So if you think about it, I've already had my car for 6 years. I have, I think, 82 or 85,000 miles on it. Virtually like no maintenance other than tire rotations and windshield washer fluid and that type of thing. But other than that, nothing major has gone wrong. And a lot of other people are in that same condition. But if you think about it, in 10 to 15 years, you're probably tired of the car. You probably want something else, or you have to compare it to an engine replacement, and so if you replace the engine in a gas car or a diesel car, you're also going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of probably $7,000 to $10,000. So
it depends on it. I mean, I just did the Hemi swap in the Jeep, and it cost me $50,000 to do the Hemi swap in the Jeep.
Oh well, yeah. See, there you go. So all of a sudden,
I got more fun out of a Hemi swap in a Jeep than I get out of an RC car.
Oh, in an RC car. Oh my gosh. That's what we're gonna call it now. Oh man. All right, let's get on to cybersecurity.
All right, let's get on to some cybersecurity. There we go, chat. There you go, chat.
Guys in chat, to say yes. Force this guy to go take a test drive.
Force me to go take a test drive. So there you go, chat.
I'll strongly encourage that.
Strongly encourage it. There we go, chat. We'll talk more. We'll talk more tomorrow morning during Tea with a Hacker. About my imminent Tesla test drive. We'll see how this goes. Real quick, hitting the rules really fast, Jason, just like we always do. Huge shout out to everybody again. Thanks for hanging out with us on a really random ass, Neal and Jason stream. Obviously, we love producing the content, so we couldn't wait another week to come and chat with you. But with some rules really fast, please, with all due respect, keep chat free of any racist, sexist, misogynist, elitist, and otherwise toxic behavior. We do have a zero tolerance policy for that type of behavior in chat. With that being said, we do have moderators in chat. Huge W to all of our moderators, in chat. They are taking the time off of work to come here and keep chat free of racist, sexist, misogynistic, elitist behavior as well. And while we did talk briefly about some of the shenanigans with Tesla, we do have a no politics policy inside of chat as well. If we're going to discuss geopolitical type of activity, it does need to be in the guise of cybersecurity. With that being said, you can tell we're pushing live questions up on screen as you guys ask them. Drop them in chat. We are streaming live across Cyber Insecurity, Twitch, and YouTube, and across the BitLift LinkedIn channels as well. If you're interested in having your question answered, drop it in any of those chats at any point in time. We do have moderators in there who will grab the questions, push them up on screen like you've seen here recently, and Jason and I will ask them. This is a great opportunity to sit here and talk to folks like Jason and myself. We both look like young, strapping, high school graduates. I understand that, but we're both really, really old, and we've been in this industry for a hot minute. And so it's a great opportunity.
Too long of a hot minute.
Too long of a hot minute.
Yeah.
So it's a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to come in and talk to us. We do have something. We've got a couple things that Jason and I have kind of teed up for today. Really, really quickly. In
no order either. It's going to be sort of random.
It is. Jason and I talked about this. We've been very thematic over the last few weeks, and I admit that we've had a hard time getting some questions in from Chad. And so Jason and I actually decided that we were going to take this opportunity to be just slightly more conversational this one today. We could still talk about some of the threats when we start talking about some of the things, Jason, that your team is seeing. But I think we had just some things that we wanted to kind of pedantically throw about with each other and make sure we give some opportunity for chat to ask some questions too.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of times we're putting together awesome content for you guys. At least we think it's awesome. We hope you think it's awesome too. But today's going to be a lot more casual, less formal. We do have a couple of topics that we're prepared to talk about, but we'd love to hear from you guys as well.
Yeah. With that being said, I will be streaming Tea with a Hacker in the morning. So, if you don't get your question answered today, or if you want to see me soapbox and rant, because Lord knows I got some stuff to rant about, tune in to Tea with a Hacker tomorrow morning for doing that. First things first, Jason, I'm going to put you on the spot. I have prepared something for you. Yeah. So 2 days ago, people joke, but I do get a lot of my industry kind of ear on the street from our cybersecurity on Reddit. and it's what you laughing at? Where do you get yours from?
Probably, forums.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's what I thought. You see that, Chad? He laughs and then he's like, "Oh shit! I just got called out. What am I gonna say? What am I gonna say?" Yeah. You see that? God, with friends like this, who needs enemies? Anyway, you got something to say about Reddit, Jason? Say it.
Hey, no, I love Reddit. It's great. I was gonna say, I oftentimes, grok some of my questions, Google.
Oh, so you allow the AI to feed you the answers?
it allowed me, I jump around, and then I go tell me to tell me the truth, or did it lie to me, or
Oh, you asked the AI, did it lie to you? Oh, nothing can go wrong there.
and then it hallucinates, and then
You
I'm
you and
yeah.
AI and full self-driving are going to be the death of me. So anyway, I'm on Reddit, Jason, much to
Okay.
your laughter. And 2 days ago, there was a post on Reddit. What's the most overhyped cybersecurity trend you're seeing right now?
Oh,
well, there's a good amount of comments. There's about 150 some odd comments on the Reddit thread. And the general consensus when you look across is a couple different things. And so I want to run these past you, and I want to get your take on a couple of them. And so the highest one, the one that's most upvoted at all, is AI, right? I'm sick of AI being used for things that are completely unrelated to AI. It seems to mean any form of automated system these days, according to resellers. I'm interested in utilizing generative AI, and I think that's the rub. But the term itself is definitely being misused.
100%. I'm freaking waiting for Sonicare to release AI in their toothbrush.
That has already happened. That's already happened, hasn't it?
Then if it has, I don't know.
No. What it wasn't. It wasn't in their toothbrush. I think it was in their fucking beard trimmers. AI powered.
Oh, was it? Oh,
beard.
like we need AI in the beard trimmer.
Yes, there it is. Chem automatic cordless artificial intelligence clippers. Here you go, chat. Artificial intelligence clippers. This is not an affiliate link off of Amazon. So you're not giving me any revenue by going to buy it. But there it is, chat. The automatic cordless artificial intelligence clippers trimmer off of Amazon. So it's happened already, Jason.
So this is just so irritating. This is just how this is crazy. I think we have lost. Why do we want everything to be AI? See, this is the problem, is people won't be able to think for themselves and have their own creative thoughts.
Says the guy who asked all these questions to Grok. You just said you asked Grok for everything.
Well, okay. So, but that was before everybody asked Google for everything.
Okay.
Here's my let me explain.
Okay.
I am using either Grok or ChatGPT or Google as search engines, as information gathering, right?
Okay.
And so if you use these to help stitch information together, I'm not necessarily looking for their opinion, because actually they fall short on their opinion, because they don't have the reasoning. Like if I want to go and buy a lawnmower, they haven't used 5 different lawnmowers so far and seen, the adjusting height, the performance, and all the rest of it. They are simply just making an opinion off of what people have given for reviews, which are, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I think you make an interesting point, and I give you shit, but I want to say that in all transparency, I do agree with you. I think that, and I think Sam Altman has said as much. I think even the Anthropic CEO has said as much, is that their stats show that people are using their chat interfaces more than, or at least transitioning away from Google as a search engine, from Google search, to using the AI from a search perspective. So I think that's, I give you shit, but I give you shit because we're friends. At the end of the day, I do think you're 100% right. I do think that people will move away from traditional Google search and move into chat models.
Yeah. The thing that I find, either Grok or now you see, whenever you Google something, you see the first response is an AI generated response. It's actually higher than an ad. Right. So think about that. If you're a advertiser and you're paying for ads on Google, their AI generated search results are actually above the ads. which I
Yes.
find that's interesting. Uh, Now all of a sudden, for the thing that you used to be paying for, go back 12 months ago, the ads would show up first right underneath your result bar. But if you use these as go out and quickly find 15, 30, 45, 60 websites that are talking about this particular topic and summarize it for me, and then show me that summary result, and then show me all the websites and links that you um, search through, and what you came up with. I find that somewhat helpful. Then I don't have to personally go and search through 60 websites and come up with a summary. I can read that summary, and then I can move on from there.
So let's take that for a second, because I want to expand upon that. Right?
Yeah.
What you just described, I think, is 100% the future of human interaction with computers in the not so distant future, 5 to 10. Right? Would you agree we're moving in that direction?
We're moving in that direction very, very quickly, and you can even see some of those features starting to show a glimmering, like 1 to 2% in the consumption of the tools that we're using through either like Apple or Google. Even Microsoft, as painful as that was hard for me to say, but I'm just, so it's starting to show.
So let me ask you ask you this, right? Because we've seen this, right? I think, and I think you and I've talked about this before, right? When things become a little bit commoditized, or when they become a little bit more mainstream, it becomes less of the hype cycle and more of like, hey, this is going to become part of your day-to-day life. When we bring that back over to cybersecurity, let me ask you this one. Do you also think that the future of SOC analyst, and I say this from you at BitLift, your experience in this industry, building for the last 10 plus years, BitLift. Yeah. Like, your team's used to interfacing in a Graylog type interface. We saw that with Noah the last time he was on stream as well. Do you think also that the future of interacting with cybersecurity tools is also going to move in that direction?
I think it's inevitable. And I also think that the tools in the space probably should be leveraging it in a reasonable fashion, in a legitimate fashion. I'll give you an example. Say, for instance, if you're troubleshooting a log source, or you're troubleshooting the way that logs are coming into a system, or even if you're troubleshooting, I'll use the words triage. If you have this log source coming in and an alarm goes off, and you want to find out more information on this alarm, and maybe even some of the IOCs that came with it, you plug that into a paid for edition. I'm going to preface that so that this is something paid for, not the free versions of the AI, or even your own local LLM that you can host yourself. But you want to be able to utilize it in such a way where it's going to help scale you. And that's what I see. So when go back to the Google search, the Grok, in doing searches, and all of a sudden it goes out and scours the internet and comes back with 60 sites and a summary. The tools are able to do very much similar to that. Now, in some cases, we are just seeing the beginning stages of this.
How so? How so? What do you mean by that?
Well, let's take for instance, we see a couple of products in the space today, in the SIM space. I'll talk about the SIM space.
I was going to say real quick, chat. Nothing we say, nothing Jason or I says endorses any product, endorses any strategy, endorses anything. We're not here to talk about good, bad, or anything, or advertise for any product. So anything that we mention is truly just us seeing things in the market space and has no endorsement whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. So if you see me hesitating, it's because I'm trying to be careful on what I say. But not mentioning names of products, but as we look at these products and we assess these products for even our own consumption or maybe integration of our products and tools into theirs, we look at how they're using something. And oftentimes, if it's simply like, oh, there's AI in our product, and then it's like a chatbot window, and you start to use it and ask it questions, and then you come to find out pretty quickly that it has very limited set of functionality. Maybe most of the time they haven't opened up that AI, that LLM, to the whole database, the whole data lake, if you will, the whole product. And so it only has a very narrow view of what it has to respond or query or look at, right? And so we looked at a product just a couple weeks ago, and
it was specifically an AI SOC product.
AI SOC product, and we started asking it questions around, IP addresses, IOCs, and it was extremely limited in what it could help the analyst do.
Can you talk a little bit more about like what you asked and what you saw versus what you would have expected something of that caliber to show you?
Yeah. So determining whether the malware was dropped from an IP address that we thought it was or not, it wasn't able to say, oh, yes, this malware that was found on this host name came from this IP address and originated from this piece. In actuality, it in our mind, it probably should have, especially the way that the marketing and sales folks touted the product. And they said, well, hey, this AI has access to the whole data lake. Well, then if you go in and you write a manual query, and I know I'm using the word query here, but your company
no, we're not gonna.
But if you write a manual query, and you build the query yourself, which then you could go over to, like, say, Grok or OpenAI and use ChatGPT and write a query that'll do this, and pick your favorite query language. You could actually find the information you're looking for. Like, yes, okay, this malware on this machine, based on the logs and the log data that you had access to, did originate from this IP address. And it's like, okay, well, then why didn't the AI help us out in this particular way? Why did we have to go write a manual rule or a manual query in order to bring back this information? And so these are relatively like some of the shortcomings that I see in the space.
This is fascinating. This is fascinating that you're going through this. Let me pull on this story really quick before you pivot on this too much. Yeah. But chat, bear with me here on this one. Listen to how long it took Jason to talk about, and think about a sales cycle, Jason, right? So they had to reach out to you. They had to convince you to get on a call. You had to mobilize Noah and I think one or two other guys internally to sit down. So that's 3 to 4 people on your team, their day's work to sit down, multiple meetings, do a POC, get into this POC only to find out it didn't do what it was supposed to do.
Yeah. And then there was like, oh, well, this really should be attached to, your data, and in a live POC with your data in here, this would really work. And I'm like,
but it's your demo environment.
It's your demo environment. I'm thinking, like, if you wanted to go and demo a Tesla car, you wouldn't forget to put the wheels on the car and then say, oh, hey, well, when you really get serious about demoing this car, we're going to put the wheels on for you. Like,
if Tesla did that, if I showed up at Tesla and they did that, I would be calling you, Jason. I'd be like, what the fuck did you just have?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know you would.
No, but that's fascinating, right? Because it's like, to your point, that's their demo. It's their demo data. They've already wasted is probably a really cynical way to do it, right? But they've utilized so much of your time that costs money, and you're a small team.
Yeah.
And I would argue, keep me honest on this, that puts a bad taste in your mouth on thinking that there could actually be products out there that could be trying to be innovative and solve the problem.
Yeah. It's one more company out there that, claims that, they're 100 million in revenue and got all these customers and all these happy customers. And I'm like, wow, even in your demo product though, this thing isn't working like you said it was supposed to. So yeah, it's just, I have become much more aware that even companies at 100 million in revenue and all these logos and names on their website and on their slide decks don't necessarily prove that their product is what they say it is.
So what let's get to brass tacks then, because I think, like, we could definitely talk horror stories on vendors all day long.
Yeah.
What problem are you trying to solve with AI? Because you run a good business, you guys are very successful, you guys are crushing it in the market. What's compelling you to think about this?
So just, no beating around the bush. It's reasoning. It is, if you can help a human being think through, okay, an alarm just went off. What was the other activities that occurred around that alarm? What were the IOCs? And then help a human make a decision faster, rather than a human spend the next, say, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes going through the rationale and the reasoning behind it. And then ultimately determining after, let's say, for instance, you're triaging something pretty complex. You might end up spending 30 minutes on it just to figure it out. And like, okay, I have gone through everything that I can think of. This is a false positive, but this was a really good false positive, right? Or you could get through 30 minutes of it and realize, like, holy smokes, we're dealing with a
this
problem.
Is bigger than I thought it was.
This is bigger than I thought it was. And then I need to call in for help. I need to have, Joe or Jane or Jill or Jack help me, with this and stitch more information together. And so it's the reasoning. It's bringing in, see, as a human being, I think that replicating our minds is going to be, I think, I no doubt, I think at some point, maybe AI will probably be able to come close to replicating our minds. But the human mind, rationale, reasoning, in emotion in there, and then like context is so important. And I think that when you think, and I'm probably not even naming all the things, but these are the things that are coming to mind when I think about AI and what we're trying to solve for in our product and service. It is the reasoning and it's the context behind what happened, so that we can figure out anomalies and we can figure out, are people really traveling overseas? Today, when yesterday they were logging in from, their home location, and they passed MFA and they passed, all of the other checksums, and now we have 2 successful logins from 2 different locations, and so on and so on. Just using that as an example. But
I love this. I love this example though, because like, let's pick on that one for a minute, right? SOAR, you remember the SOAR days, Demisto, Phantom, Simplify, Swim Lane. Again, no endorsements, no bashing, just like that references for people who have never heard of like these SOAR type of products. SOAR was supposed to solve these challenges for us as well. How do you think that reasoning is an advancement on SOAR in the stack?
So, by the way, Gartner says SOAR is dead, which I don't believe is true.
Oh, really? Oh, let's put a pin in that, because I'll fight you on that. I'm with Gardner on this. One of the only times, Chad, somebody's going to hate me for this. One of the only times, Chad, that I'll agree with Gardner. One of the only times I'll agree with Gardner.
All right. But so orchestration, automation, response, I still believe is alive and well today, because there is still a ton of value delivered from a human being, putting together orchestration, automation, response. That's what it means. I am orchestrating multiple tasks chained together, in some sort of automated response that saves you time. You think about this. this has been done, right? We have orchestration and in our own lives, and I was just trying to think of like a great example to showcase of it, but you all have a voicemail system, and the voicemail system can convert that voicemail into text, and then it can showcase the text to you.
I mean, automatic bill pay is a great example of orchestration.
Automatic bill pay is a great example, and so there's these things, but come to think of it though, if you plug AI into there, right? And so AI needs to know that the steps that it has come up with are the proper steps that it's come up with, and then it still needs approval. So it can help suggest them, which I think is sort of the first iteration of where AI is helping, is suggest me the first 1 to 3 to 5 steps that you'd come up with in the next best steps. Read through those, and then you tell it, okay, yes, in this scenario, I would choose step 3 from a human perspective to move forward with, and then have it move forward with step 3, and then move on again. But there is the decision chain that has to be stitched together or linked together there that is currently missing inside of almost all AI that I've seen today. I have not seen I haven't seen one that comes up with and says, this alarm went off. Based on that alarm, here's the remediation. I took the remediation, and now such and such is A-okay, and we're all good to go. And then the analyst sitting back on their
I don't know that I 100% agree with everything you said there, and that's a polite way of saying it. So I think I have a belief that SOAR is dead, and I think if anything, AI is coming squarely for the share of cybersecurity that SOAR was unable to fill. I think I have a belief that AI could solve a lot of the orchestration and a lot of the automation. When you look at the way that a lot of the agentic workflows are setting up now, when you look at like, I sent you a video, right, from an unknown, we're not going to disclose the vendor, but I sent you a video from a vendor that was doing agentic AI workflows inside of their SIM. And if you look at it, I think you could almost replace that from 10 years ago with a Demisto or a Phantom or a Simplify video for orchestration. The only difference is that they've added LLMs to it and made it more natural language.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you. Somebody still today is having to create the orchestrations and the tasks and help the AI get there and build it.
But doesn't that take away from the reasoning model that you're talking about? If somebody's got to help the model understand it, that takes away from the reasoning, doesn't it?
I think it builds the reasoning because it needs confidence in what it determined was the proper next step.
Say more.
Well, if you think about it,
because there are explicit reasoning models out there. Like ChatGPT has one that is explicit for reasoning in their deep search.
But don't you think that based on, okay, so it did a deep search. It took a whole bunch of people's opinions.
Yeah.
Across that.
Yeah.
Read reviews, 5-star, 4 stars, all the stuff. And then it came up with a hypothesis. It came up with its best guess, right? Now, I think if you take 50 people in a room and you read that hypothesis, I think there's probably going to be varying degrees of the next step. Now, if we keep this towards cybersecurity, if we take 50 security analysts, some that have been in the space for 20 years and some that have been in the space for a year, you're going to get varying degrees of a decision that probably came up from the reasoning model of an AI. Some might say, yeah, that sounds like the right answer. And then some might say, well, that's the right answer if in this situation. But if it's not that situation and it's not that hardware and it's not that version and it's not this and it's not this, well then that's not the correct answer.
We may get a little cynical here on this one because I immediately want to pull the soapbox out and stand on it on top of this because I don't think that this is an AI reasoning flaw. I think this is a cybersecurity industry flaw.
I mean, when I was earlier, I was talking to Noah earlier today, and we were going through a situation, and we're like, if like 7 years ago, 8 years ago, you had the opportunity to say, like, this is a really complex issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then here we are 7, 8 years later, and it is a complex issue. Like the topic that we were talking about, there's probably like 10 to 15 decision-making steps that are involved here that you need to talk through those 10 to 15 things out loud before you arrive at a decision. And I think today the AI is helping that come to a conclusion quickly or more quickly, if that's the proper English, but I'm not exactly sure that we're ready for it to just come to the conclusion all on its own.
So the reason that I think I have a belief that the current reasoning models are actually really, really good for cybersecurity, and here's where I base that premise on, right? So you're in incident response. Okay. I've built incident response teams before. Let's come to a couple of agreements, right? So I was a SANS instructor for 5 years. We taught a 6-step process for incident response, a pretty common 6-step process for incident response. So common, as a matter of fact, that they put it into a NIST workbook, NIST guideline. Mm-hmm. Right? 861. Can we agree that the NIST 861 for incident response processes is the baseline standard for incident response across the globe?
Yeah, I'd say.
Okay, cool, awesome. So now you have a standard that not only is accepted worldwide, is very well documented, and generally speaking, every organization on the world implements anywhere from 70% of that standard to 100% of that standard.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree that in a well-trained model, and neither of us are data scientists, and so we can't define what a well-trained model is, but let's assume that Sam Altman's pretty smart. Let's assume that Sanjay at Google's pretty smart. Let's assume that the Anthropic CEO is pretty smart. Their reasoning model could look at a standard that's written in black and white, and it doesn't have to hypothesize too much on what the steps of an incident response process is.
Yeah.
So why couldn't AI reason across the incident response process and do that without human intervention?
I'm not saying that it can't. I'm just saying that I haven't seen it do that today. We're sitting here on May 29th, 2025.
For the record.
I haven't, for the record, I haven't seen it work as you just described.
Would that be beneficial if you saw a AI do the entire 6-step incident response process from start to finish?
Yeah, and if you have it in your back pocket,
no, I don't. I don't. I wish I fucking did. but all the entrepreneurs out there who are listening, now you know.
Yeah. But yes, I mean, I think that, like, I think that the AI and I think that those people are smart people, and there's a lot of money backing them as well.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that money solves all problems, but money solves a lot of problems. It can go get you 100 people and some very bright people, and you know, it could buy you, Neal Bridges and 10 other Neal Bridges,
I doubt that, but we could debate on what the cost of Neal Bridges is.
Oh boy. So yeah, I mean, and by the way, I think that we would clamor for it. Like, and I think that it would be helpful to customers. Um, I think though the where I'm struggling, and I
Yeah,
think the fence that I am struggling here on is if it's Neil, if it's as easy as this, like
yeah.
to help cybersecurity protection people, like SOC analysts, SOC engineers, and all the rest of it, this thing is going to be just as smart to help the criminals.
Oh yeah.
It and so this is like we're so fixated on the stargazer side of this that I then look at it and say, okay, well, if it's that good on the protection side of things, it's also going to be that good on the attacking side of it.
Do you really worry about that? Like that's the first time I've heard you animate that thought before. Is that a concern of yours?
It's because I keep that thought to myself most of the time. But absolutely, like, I know you brought this up, and I sort of cruised past it, but the Tesla's going to the hackathon,
Yeah.
and them finding bugs and
Yeah.
having a whole bug bounty about
Yeah.
it and
Yeah.
that type of thing, and then so I cherish those things because everything that has software in it has got a problem. Like, they were created by humans.
Yeah.
Humans have problems
For now.
and so we've for now. But if you think about if the AI is so good and can reason with these things, then yes, I am very concerned at the flip side of it, because that means it could be very good at attacking. Like if I knew all of your life story,
Mm-hmm.
and we were best buds, and not to say that we're not.
I was gonna say, damn. I
Yeah.
really thought wow, Chad.
We were.
Wow, Chad.
But if I knew all of your good, it also allows me to open up and poke at your bad, right?
I guess I still think that, like, to your point, an AI is only as smart as the model you feed it. And so attackers don't know any more. Attacker AI doesn't know any more about malware than the current human population does. The human cybersecurity population does. I think that the danger of attacker-based AI is something you've animated on the stream quite a lot, which is the speed in which attacks can occur. I think that, like to your point, there's experiments out there where you could pit two AIs against each other and they will argue against each other in real time.
Mm-hmm.
I think the longer it takes defenders to realize that they need an AI anti-aircraft engine to match an attacker's, anti-aircraft engine, that's where I think the problem lies in attacker-based AI systems. Is if fucking military taught us this, right? Like, whoever can be faster on the battlefield has the advantage.
Right. 100%. But if I'll just say what's on my mind.
Yeah.
If you fed AI a lot of, like, just go feed it a whole bunch of the malware, go feed it the CVEs, and say, hey, I'm looking at taking this malware, exploiting this CVE, and I've already got some IP addresses I've found the CVE on. What do you think would be the steps in order to go through and attack it? And if it was as good as reasoning on the protection side, it's probably going to be that good on the attacking side.
So I'm going to ask you something slightly controversial since we're speaking our mind on this one.
Sure.
Does that mean that you're in favor of restricting security researchers' ability to put vulnerabilities and exploit code and things like that out on the internet? Arms control effectively?
Yeah, no. I still think that we're going to have to fight this publicly.
I'm glad you said that, because if you'd said otherwise, you and I wouldn't have been able to be friends anymore. I'm just saying.
But I think the law should be public, right? I think that the judgment should be public. I think that the IOCs should be public. I think that all of this should be public, because we need it to be. Information should be public.
Yeah.
But the only way to attack this is to completely understand. You're probably going to have, if we see something as 50% good, there's probably an equal opposite of 50% bad that's going to come out of this.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. I think you can't have the good without the bad. Like, I think that attackers were weaponizing AI long before we ever started talking about. I mean, and this is my ultimate problem with cybersecurity is we take a cynical approach whenever new technology comes out. We take that approach first, and instead attackers take the approach of how can I use this to make money, right? And I think that has screwed us every year for the last 20 plus years that I've been in this industry.
Yeah. And I mean, while you're on that, I think you could even go as further as I think that cybersecurity technology people should be embracing, I do agree with your statement there. And I think a lot of people that I hear start out with a cynical approach.
Yeah.
And it's why do we do that? We get the opportunity to embrace the new software, embrace the advancements, and embrace, the next wave of software. I just think that we as people, if you don't like your job and you don't like cybersecurity, then don't get into it.
Mm-hmm.
But don't have a cynical approach to everything. When it comes to this space, we should look at it with equal eyes and look at it and say, wow, this could help fix the challenge that I'm running into. And don't, it's also cynical to think that you are going to lose your job or there's not going to be job security.
Oh, you want to go there, Jason? Because people are losing their jobs left and right due to AI.
I don't necessarily think that it's 100% towards AI, because here's the thing. I think you and I would both know this. If you are worth your weight in gold, you are not going to get let go.
It's so funny you say that, because somebody showed up in my comments. Somebody showed up in a comment when I said that live on stream. Oh, God. I did say that. I said that very, very much. I said that very explicitly on stream.
Yeah.
Where's that comment at?
If you are a person that you show up every day, you're passionate about your job, you love what you do, you're valuable to the company, you go above and beyond, you don't just put in the minimum, and you love your paycheck, and unless you're a person where you don't need a paycheck, and you have arrived at a point in your life where you don't need more funds coming in, then maybe go on and do something else. But if you do need your paycheck and you appreciate your paycheck, and you love your space, and you're bringing value to the company, well, then I think it's going to be hard for the company to let you go, because AI still does not fill all of those gaps.
So
completely.
Real quick before I respond to that, I want to share this comment with chat, right? Because this comment showed up on a video on YouTube, right? And I read every comment. I read and I try to respond to every comment. This is a quote, and I said this was somebody that clipped this and put this up. I think Jens had clipped this and put it up. Jens, I see you in chat. Huge shout out to you. I'm glad you're tuning in from work. The clip was basically saying the same thing, Jason, make yourself valuable to the business. And the person quoted me and said, make yourself valuable to the business, and then responded with, corporate overlords decide to reduce staff by eliminating entire departments and your individual performance never gets looked at, you were part of the unlucky department, so you're gone. It's as simple as that. And that's the cynicism that we're talking about right there.
Yeah. I think that's I would say back to that person, if I was standing in front of them at a conference, I would just calmly, collectively say, make yourself known.
Yeah.
Make yourself known to the other people in the organization and say, hey, listen, this is all the things, these are all the valuable things that I did for the company. I might be in the wrong department. Do you have another seat for me somewhere else? I love this company. I love what the mission, the vision, the values of the company. I want to work here. And these are all the things that I've done for the company. And I think that I'm getting wrapped up into a snowball that I shouldn't. You don't. Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you a preferential question, and I've given you the heads up that this may come at some point in time, and you and I streaming before. So give me a yes or no if you want to go down this rabbit hole, okay?
I need to know what the rabbit hole is. What does the rabbit hole look like first?
As CEO of BitLift, you may have to make a tough decision in the future. Do you want to talk? Are you willing to have this conversation now live on stream? I gave you. Remember this? I gave you the heads up on this like months ago when we. So you'd say yes or no now, and we can move past it.
Yeah, it's not always fun. Here's the thing: is I'll go down this rabbit hole because I think it's the right thing to do, and I think it is. I talk with other CEOs. There's no. So we're going down the hole, right?
We'll go, your call. You're the one who's got to go look at your employees tomorrow after you go down this hole.
Yeah. No, like here inside of BitLift, we're very much a family type culture.
Sure.
I share,
but money is money.
Money is money, and so if something got tough, if something got hard, if we had to make a business decision, it would be very tough.
Sure.
Because I do think that we've got some very bright, very skilled individuals on the team, and I love every one of them. Any one of them would be invited over to dinner at my house, and I would serve them just as well as I would serve one of my other friends. Right. In saying that, if we had a business tough decision to make, here's the difference. It wouldn't just be like, hey, here's, we're having to cut you, wish you the best of luck, blah, blah, blah. It would be like, hey, how do we help you find another job? Because I hate what's happening right now. We're having to make a tough decision, but at the same token, we want to help assist in any way possibly we can to help you with your financial need to get to another job that can fulfill your financial need. Because I realize that behind anybody, they're probably trying to support, their spouse, their family, their household, their way of living, so that they can not worry about eating next month, or in 2 months from now. And so that's the honest to God truth. I mean, we would help assist in any way we possibly could to make sure that person. But how do you contend?
How do you, you guys are going to grow big, and I say this, knowing you as a person, I'm sure that you'll try to carry this mentality and this culture that you got to BitLift as long as you can. You're going to get bigger. Hopefully, you're going to grow as a business, and you're eventually going to get somebody who thinks you're laying them off because it's personal. You're laying them off because you need a boat to go onto Lake Michigan, because because you need another Tesla sitting in the garage or whatever the case is, right? And you're going to have somebody who's like, well, Jason, we're a small company. I worked with you. I talked with you. I sat in conference room with you. You knew who I was because we're a small company. Why me? Yeah. Why me? Why? What did I do wrong? Really, what is going through your head when you have to do those types of decisions?
I think number one is always be honest. I think that even myself, there's areas of improvement. And so if somebody is willing to calmly and collectively sit down and ask, how did my name get on this list? Then it would be answering it in the same way it was asked. And that is calmly and collectively go through like, okay, we looked over the past 6 months to a year. We talked about situations. We talked about how we got here. And this is how we ended up here. And it was still a tough decision because we like you. We love you as a human being. We think that you're awesome, but we've either come to this financial situation or whatever the case may be that's having us make this tough choice. And in that is sitting down and explaining to them maybe areas of improvement. But I would also make sure that it wouldn't be like the first time that they're hearing it, because I think that that's where these problems typically, even when I was an employee before founding and starting BitLift, I would constantly be asking the place that I was employed at, am I meeting all of your objectives? Am I trying to, am I achieving what the team is trying to achieve? Am I a team player? I'd ask the tough questions to try and get those things out so that it wouldn't be the first time that I would be hearing them at like an exit interview.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think, I mean, I having been on a couple of different sides on this, right? I've worked at large companies. I've worked at small companies. I had to let people go in both fashions. I don't know if you felt this way too, but like I've seen, I'm going to use a really terrible word here, but I feel like it's kind of par for the course for me, right? I've seen the degradation in how the employee-employer relationship has developed over the years. I think employees have become shit employees, and I think employers have become shit employers at the same time. I think I saw a comment flash across the screen, right? Like, I don't think that what you described works at a company like Microsoft. Like, and I would agree with that. Like, I had to let a young lady go 2016, 2017-ish, somewhere around in there. So it was long before COVID. We had to let her go. She'd had 7 years at the company. And she did. She came to me and she's like, Neal, what did I do? What did I do? What could I have done better? Please give me some feedback. And HR had come to me when they had said that we're going to have to let this person go and said, you can't talk to her. Yeah. You can't say anything to her. You can't give her feedback. Don't.
See, and I disagree with HR on that.
But HR's not there for the employee. HR's there to protect the company.
Yeah. And I guess that's why I've always loved like small company or smaller company than like Google in huge 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 person size organizations, is because you're going to get the HR response. But what I hope that I'm coming across here with is that if you have that personal relationship and you love your job and you are being respectful, meaning like you're putting in everything that you can put in, and you're not treating it badly, well then if I think people understand if a situation comes up where like say the company's in not great shape financially, the market's shifted, the wind shifted, and then I would say, you know what, shift with it. Like today, on that day when you get the bad news, today might suck. Today might be a bad day. Don't go home and don't be depressed. Don't get drunk.
Don't punch kittens. Don't punch kittens.
Don't punch kittens. Like none of that's going to help solve the problem. Go to bed, wake up tomorrow, and start looking at that challenge and look at it as an opportunity. Now you get a fresh reset and start. Like what you have your whole life in front of you. What do you want to go do? Before
I ask this question from Chris, I want to piggyback on that by saying, I want to say yes and to what Jason's saying, but I'll also tell you this, right? And what I'm about to say, like Query's not in any danger of going under. I'm not saying this because Query's, about to go bankrupt or anything. But I have this conversation with my wife frequently. I'm like, hey, you're aware I work at a startup. You're aware that startup life is volatile. you're aware that we could not raise another round of funding. We could lose all of our customers. We could get sued. Like there's a number of things that could happen to us as a startup that's very detrimental. And so we frequently have BCPDR conversations, as nerdy as that sounds, where it's like, hey, reminder, we're coming up on fourth quarter, we're coming up on fifth quarter, we're coming up on or first quarter, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
Be open with your spouse and be like, hey, what's our contingency plan? What are we going to do if shit hits the fan? What are we going to do if we have to be unemployed for 6 to 9 months, right? Whatever the case is. And just, always be thinking, not the worst, but always be planning for something that you need to be planning for.
Yeah. I mean, I say similar things, it's probably not highly recommended where you're living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Also working at a startup and also, be the only breadwinner, for your household. Because you are living risk at 100%, at 100%, at 100%.
That's right. That's right.
And so I would highly encourage you, like, okay, if you're taking some risk, even if you're, whether you're at a small company, I know you just used all those examples in a small startup, but we've even seen larger companies where the wind shifts. The technology, a startup comes out, does a really great job, and has a better way at creating the widget.
Yeah.
And it disrupts and disturbs somebody else that had a moat in the space.
Yep.
I think about that. And so, even if you're at a very large company, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're at that job, forever, or you're rock solid there. I mean, the old adage, I grew up with people around me telling me that you needed, 6 to 9 months worth of cash reserves just in case something ever happened to your job.
Yeah.
And these were people that worked, I grew up in Michigan. So these are people that worked at one of the big three.
Yep.
And they were sort of used to layoffs,
Yep.
from time to time. But, 2, 3, 4 months would go by of maybe layoffs for one reason or another. And next thing you know, they'd be back at it and they'd be working overtime again.
Yep.
Well, you learn after a couple of those times, you start putting those overtime checks, in savings, and you save for a rainy day.
You don't go and buy a Tesla Model S.
Yeah. And have that be your rainy day fund, So I would encourage you, out there to not live 100% everything to the max.
So in true cyber insecurity fashion, we got down this rabbit hole talking about AI taking jobs. I think what the point was around that is companies are going to make company decisions. Like I know we've seen CrowdStrike say, we gave these, 500 jobs at CrowdStrike, had given up 1,500 jobs, whatever it was, for AI reasons. Yeah. I think Walmart recently said that they had done 15,000 people for AI reasons. Don't necessarily assume that that's AI in cybersecurity, AI in technology, AI in anything. It could be AI in help desk. It could be AI in sales. It could be AI in marketing. All the other places where AI could be really, really beneficial. And as you can hear from this conversation, we're not yet convinced on the AI and cybersecurity front. Chris wants to know, Jason, from your conversation about like asking for feedback and having that conversation with your leadership, how often, so when you're coaching Noah, how often would you expect Noah to be asking these questions and seeking that feedback from you?
I think about once every 3 to 4 months is pretty healthy.
It's about once a quarter.
I don't think once a quarter. What we do is we try and have one-on-one peer reviews. How am I doing? Right? As a manager, leader, to you, am I fulfilling all of your needs? Or do I leave you with questions in your head? And how am I doing with leading you? Right? And then how are you with leading the others and working with the team? So I think, once every 3 to 4 months is a pretty healthy checkpoint.
Do you actually have people in BitLift who give you feedback on your role as CEO?
Yeah, I used to.
But then you got good, right? Then you made no mistakes, right?
Yeah, right. No, just kidding. No, I've had people, give feedback and I've encouraged it.
Yeah.
I
What's
think
it
some
what's it
people.
like what's it like to receive, like, what's it, well, yeah, talk through that a little bit.
Oh boy, that's another rabbit hole. Um, I think that sometimes you find out you didn't realize people think things about you. But people very much, look at you and assess you, and you're like, wow, I guess I didn't think that somebody would think that about me, or whatever the case may be. You fill in the blank, and I'm trying to sort of say high level,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
um, I take feedback. I'm probably one of the ones that would probably take feedback, and I do critically take it and understand it, and then I provide. Here's my thinking.
Mm.
I like to provide. This is why I'm doing thing X. Um, and I hope that makes sense to you. It makes sense to me. But I've always been also open to, feedback. Like, hey, if you don't feel like you're getting information from me that you need, or support from me that you need, and if I'm not, if I think it's pretty clear, like if I miss running payroll, if I don't do sales,
Right.
if I don't help out in the marketing, if
Right.
I don't help out with all of these other things, I think it would be pretty evident
Yeah.
that I'm not doing my job.
Yeah.
And I think people would leave BitLift or leave me if they found out or seen the evidence of me not doing my job.
Yeah.
Um, they would lose faith in me, lose trust.
You have that advantage in a small company because, everybody has to chip in. There's not a big HR department, there's not a big marketing department, there's not a big payroll department.
Yeah.
Do you have you ever caught yourself getting defensive over somebody's feedback of you?
I'd have to say yes, of course.
Okay.
I mean, it's
That was an honesty
it's
check.
human.
That was an honesty check.
Yeah, it's human. And you have to be careful. Like, I would say, if you let yourself go for too long and not, and say, why am I getting defensive about this?
Yeah.
I have pretty good receptors of that, because I've been through some situations in the past where getting angry and getting upset and letting the emotions take over the conversation typically don't end well.
Yeah.
Either for me or for the other person or whoever's involved in that conversation. And so I have asked myself, why am I getting defensive about this? Am I in the wrong here? And if I'm in the wrong, I probably should just admit it and write this conversation quicker than it, because there's no cover up of eventually. I have learned eventually it will just come full circle, and either I will leave or the person will leave, and we will never get back to solid terms again.
Mm-hmm. No. That was a lot. That was a rabbit hole. We're a little bit over, Jason. I appreciate you hanging out, obviously, and Chad as well.
Oh, man,
I know this was a great, great rabbit hole, to go down. I feel like we probably should maybe plan on doing like a cybersecurity business stream. Maybe one time where we just kind of sit down and talk about what it's like to start your own cybersecurity business and the things involved. And I know we've got a couple of young entrepreneurs in chat as well that would benefit from that. But
yeah, that'd be
all
great.
right. Well, real quick chat before we sign off for the day. Don't forget, tune in tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Tea with a Hacker across all your favorite channels. We will be streaming that one. Make sure you're inside the Discord for all the lovely giveaways that we do. Jason, we will see you again in 2 weeks on Tuesday. 2 weeks on Tuesday. 2 weeks on Tuesday, where we'll catch back up on threat brief stuff. Close us out,
we'll
buddy.
Have some good stuff lined up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I hope you all have a good weekend, a safe weekend. I talked with another CEO this morning, and one thing that he reminded me of was go out and go for a walk. Go out and go for a bike ride.
Touch grass.
Touch grass. just remember that we're human beings, and the problem that is right in front of us that we're trying to solve might need you and require you to actually get up and leave your desk and just go for a walk. Think about it.
Go for a walk and think about it.
But that's what I encourage you to do, and stay loving what you do.
Yeah.
Life is too short to not love what you do. And if you're in something right now and you're not loving what you do, I'd really challenge you to think about that over the weekend.
Sounds good. All right, chat, Jason. We'll see y'all next time.
Take care.
I'm just being